Welcome back, y'all, and happy Wednesday. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. Today, we're going to be talking about the transfer portal because it is opening day, and I think we have 10 days, right? We have 10 days for it to be open. All that means is there's 10 days for players to get into the portal. It doesn't mean that the players have to find a school within those 10 days. So, I would say probably the biggest thing for us at this point, obviously, is going to be quarterback, but outside of that, who's going to be leaving Tennessee? I don't think that we're going to leave, or I don't think that we're going to lose too many people. I think that Larry Johnson was the first name that kind of came out, that the insiders backed up some. They didn't say that he was going to leave, but they didn't necessarily say that he wasn't, right? Like it wasn't 100% certain what he was going to do. So, him being one of our right tackles, being a veteran playing at right tackle, I think he would have a pretty good shot to start there. But also, David Sanders looked really good in that orange and white game. I mean, he looked. It was textbook. A lot of the stuff that he was doing was basically like a, offensive lineman clinic. So, we'll see what happens there. But outside of that, it doesn't sound like there's too much smoke with Tennessee losing any players. And of course, they have like 48 hours to get their paperwork in. So actually, they'll tell the university, hey, I want to enter into the portal. This is my paperwork, or whatever. And then I think that the university has 48 hours to get that, I guess, put into the portal, or however that part of it works. So if there was some smoke about a player that was thinking about leaving up to this point, that we would see maybe over the next couple of days, that probably would have already come out. Okay, I think that the insiders probably would have talked about that. So I think that we're in a really good spot right there. Tennessee really can't afford to lose anybody, especially one of our key guys. So with all that being said, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to go through several players. I've got a ton of film on here. Actually, I didn't even have, I have so much film that I couldn't even fit it all inside of the studio. So we have a lot. And if y'all want to see some more, I've got some more on deck for you. But I want to start off right here, okay? I want to start off with what we looked at. I think that we did this yesterday with the strengths and weaknesses of this team for me after after the orange and white game. So I feel like the scheme is a really big, it's a really big strength of this team, right? The offensive scheme is totally different. At least to me, it looked way more wide open than what we saw last season. Last year, just those of y'all that might not know, the route tree for Tennessee was mostly vertical routes. So we're talking about fades and goals. I think I might have saw a few posts. There wasn't that many posts. It was digs, which is just like a deeper in breaking route at about 15 yards. It was like comeback stuff. So, that's you run about 5 yards, come back, or you run about 10 yards, come back. That was really like the bulk of what the offensive system was. It's very difficult to run an offense like that where the field spread out super wide. So as we talked about, previously, that most teams were taking away the middle because you can't go to the outside. So the way that we've switched up with our splits, and the way that now we're not just running vertical routes, there's crossing routes, there's drags, there's outs, there's slants, there's more switch routes where the wide receivers will actually switch. That's a good way to help you to get open. With things like that, man, it is so much easier to operate offenses, which is why, as I said yesterday, which is why I was terrified. I mean, I don't think that we're in a perfect spot. I don't think that we're in a good spot necessarily, but I feel a lot more optimistic just based off of what the scheme looks like in the orange and white game, where we know that it was very, very basic. If we have more wrinkles to that, then I think that we're going to be fine. I think that we're going to be just fine. So the next thing is the offensive line depth. I think that the offensive line is going to be good. We talked about Larry Johnson potentially leaving. I think whether he leaves or not, we're still going to be fine because all of our tackles look good. There's still a few that we haven't quite seen yet. But, I would have to anticipate based off of what we saw last season that they should be fine. Of course, I want to hold on to Larry Johnson. That just makes it even deeper, but it's not just about tackles at every single spot. I think up front, really good looking offensive line. So that's huge. Everything starts right there. Next, running back and tight end depth is, I think that we're really fine right there as well. Defense should definitely be a strength of this team. Weaknesses, we already know about. We've got young players in several different spots. And then we need to go find some defensive tackles. And then that will bring us to this right here. Okay, this is what I think Tennessee's portal needs are. Number one has got to be quarterback. Do you want to go get you a veteran that's a baller, that's not going to come in and necessarily, hey, this is a real competition. This is a guy. This is a name that the fans will say, hey, this feels good. Like we have a lot of optimism about this season, even after losing Nico, that now we've got a guy that's a baller, that's a leader, that can make some things happen. I feel like it's so important for a team to have a quarterback that is a baller, especially in the SEC. What y'all will notice as we get closer to the season and people start to break down all these teams' rosters, there are ballers at quarterback on almost every single team in the SEC, and it's very tough. And we're talking about in these big games, right? Like whether that's on the road or, if it's a big game playing inside of your own stadium. If it's a playoff, like any of that type of stuff, it typically comes down to just a few like key plays. do you have the quarterback that can, if everything kind of breaks down, especially later on in the season, when just like Tennessee had, where the whole defense knows exactly what you're doing. Do you have a guy that can make you right even when nothing's really going right for you? I think that maybe Tennessee can find a guy like that. Possibly, it's not a whole lot of them out there, or you can go and find a guy that is gonna kind of be like a backup, or he's coming in to say, hey, we're going to see who's going to win this job between you, Mark, and GMAC. So we have to figure that part of it out. There's really not too many great names in the portal up to this point, but obviously some things could always change. Next is going to be wide receiver. I think that we need a veteran here. That's just me personally. We could probably go and get a younger guy, but do you want a baller that's going to come in and potentially start, or do you want someone that's going to be sharing time? I think that we should be fine either way. To me, that room is it's okay, but we just don't have enough numbers. I like the guys, inside of that room. I'm just not crazy about those numbers. And also, if y'all can't see what I have up, please do let me know that. Let me see if we. Okay, so I'm gonna get to those chats here in just a second. Let me try to finish up with this. So I also think that I think that Tennessee needs 2 defensive tackles. The reason for that is because Wallace and also Nathan Robinson, they're banged up. Now, I like those freshmen playing at tackle. We still don't have House up on campus yet. I think that he can be a guy that plays, one of those bigger roles. But what I said before is find you a guy that could be like a 3 technique and maybe could also play at the bigger tackle spot. But you really need a guy that's bigger, I think. I think Tennessee needs a guy that's 320 plus pounds that can eat up those gaps, just because that was a huge part of Tennessee's success on defense last season, is that we had a lot of guys, but we also had several really big guys too. That eats up blocks, and that lets everybody else eat. So I don't really see that player on this roster right now. I actually think that Bryson Easton might be the biggest guy, and he's at like 316, just from like a weight perspective as far as the scholarship bodies go. But again, I feel like Charles House will probably come up somewhere around 320, 330. So that's just one guy, but I feel like we definitely need to go out and add 2. After that, I think that we just need to take, the best left. And this is a luxury for me. I don't know how much money Tennessee's really working with. I don't know if that's feasible. If it is feasible, obviously it would be great. And I don't really care where that's at. If there's, let's just say whoever the top player in the transfer portal is that's left anywhere, if you can add them, if they want to come to Tennessee, why not add them? Just, bring in some more depth. And just make the team even more deadly, because you can always add more talent. So with all that being said, before we get into all the film stuff and everything like that, I want to get to some of these chats. So this right here is from BYOB saying, hey, all right, hey man, thank you for that. It's always good to see y'all inside of the chat. Saying that, or asking, was it true that Hypo dumbed down offense for Nico last year? I don't know about that, honestly. For me, it looked the same. Well, really, it was more complicated. Like we added more wrinkles to it in 2024 than what we showed in 2023. I would say on a more consistent basis. Nico actually operated, to me, the offense better than what Joe Milton did, but it's definitely not, it wasn't like what Golish did. And actually, I hate to say this so early, but we will look at one of South Florida's quarterbacks so that y'all can see how different their offense looks, and understanding that this is the exact same scheme. But the way that they run it, it looks totally different. For me, it looks a lot closer to what Tennessee's offense showed me inside of the orange and white game. Right here from my dog G White. What's going on, bro? Happy to have you in. All right. And from Eric Wallace saying that I like the cat from TCU. Okay. Yeah, man. I think that you're talking about Hoover. So my one thing with him, I think that he's a really good looking prospect. Obviously, I think that he had the highest. I think he had like the highest rate of hitting his targets and all that. But I don't think that his arm was necessarily strong enough. And we'll take a look at that here in just a minute. Actually, I'll go ahead and bring that up for you right now so that y'all can be seeing that. So these are the quarterbacks. These are the first quarterbacks that P&I kind of came up with. This is our list. So down at the bottom, you can see the guy Hoover from TCU. And you can see how his numbers look really, really good here. But like I was kind of getting to, I don't think that his arm is necessarily strong enough. Can he really make all the throws? I mean, he can throw the ball, I would say, probably about 55, 60 yards, something like that. But it's not – there's a difference between, hey, like – because probably most of us can throw the ball 50-plus yards, right? But there's a difference between you're throwing it there and it takes it forever for it to get there versus you're throwing it and it's getting there now. That's more of what I mean. The ball doesn't pop out of his hands. Now, P said that he felt like his arm was probably good enough. So we saw that a little bit differently. But for me, I just didn't think that his arm was quite strong enough for this system. But now with the way that it feels like Tennessee's going to run it, he might be okay to operate in this system. And, of course, we all we want to see some older guys for sure because you don't want to push out any of those young guys. So let me get to this one right here from my dog G White saying that Wright entered the portal this morning. Oh, is that William Wright? Dang, man. So he was one, and I don't know if that's who he's talking about or not. So don't freak out if this is not tuning in. But if William Wright's who you're talking about, P and I were really high on him playing at corner. Felt like he could play star. He is a walk-on guy, but he had great size. I think that his technique and all of that looked beautiful, especially coming up playing press. He looked pretty physical. But if he's gone, then obviously that's going to dwindle some of that depth. And that could change some things. Maybe Tennessee would have to go to the portal just to add one more body, even though I like those young guys. They might not be perfect to start the season off, but if we can get them out there early on and let them kind of take those lumps by the end of the season, they'll be ready to rock and roll. It's just more about getting more reps to me. All right, let me get to some more of these real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and jump into the show. Let me see. Who are we? Okay, so this is also from G saying that Wright played at Vandy for a few years. Oh, okay, all right. I'm sorry. So you're talking about somebody else. All right. Oh, yeah. So that's the guy. I think he was at Northwestern. That's the quarterback, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I haven't really watched him play much, but he might be a pretty decent option as a backup. I'll just tell y'all this: if we're looking for a guy to kind of be like that backup, I would definitely want to take Gaston Moore because he knows this system. We feel comfortable with him. Like everybody already knows him. So that would be pretty seamless. If you're looking to try to kind of like rally around this entire situation and not have any outside people coming and messing up the whole vibe of the locker room, that would be a great one for me. I don't know that he would do it. I don't know that the team would want to do it. But yeah, he's one G that I would have to look more. I would have to look at his film because I haven't even seen that yet. So this one right here is from Derek Owen Jr. saying, I thought that SMU's number 9 from last year entered the portal. So I'm not quite sure who you're talking about. If that's the quarterback, I don't remember who is number 9. I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about. So you would have to maybe like give me a name, and that might help me out just a little bit. Let me get to David Speaks as well, saying that saying that most of the top freshman quarterbacks will transfer at once. Until they are enforcing rules. Hey, you know what? You could be. I mean, yeah, saying most that's probably accurate. Like if you're saying most of them, that's probably true. I think that most of the quarterbacks from Nico's class in 2023, I think that they've all transferred except for Arch. You know what I mean? And it is a little bit easier if you know that. I don't want to go to. I mean, he's in a different situation, obviously, but I do think that Texas is doing a good job. I mean, I think that they're doing it right. But yeah, the rules is what really needs to get changed. And until that happens, it's we're gonna see stuff like this. But what I feel like, and I don't want to talk too much about Nico, but what I do feel like is that all the coaches are kind of coming together and they're saying, hey, we're gonna try to use him as the kind of like poster child for why you don't want to do holdouts. We're going to try to scare everyone away from doing holdouts. I think that they're all coming together. But what I feel like will probably end up happening is as we get closer to the end of that portal, right? Or if anyone shows some real serious interest in Nico, you're going to see a lot of other teams start to show that interest too, because his talent is through the roof. And I'm just saying all those things just to say that we'll see how this plays out. But there's a whole lot of very strong implications on the future of college sports, really, based off of this one. Kind of like what's been happening with this situation, from start to finish, right? It's been a roller coaster ride for Nico. All right, and also for Tennessee. But okay, let me go ahead and get to this right here. I'm gonna show y'all. These are just some of the quarterbacks. This was me and P's top 5 list, just so that y'all can see those names. Y'all can see their stats and things like that. But I want to get into actually what we're gonna do, y'all. Is we're gonna start with Cam Rice, and bear with me for just a minute because I'm gonna pull up his profile from ESPN. So just give me a second so that I can find it, and then we'll take a look at that. And I really need to get some daggum glasses. I can tell you that right now. Actually, do I have him up here? I might not even have him. I might not even have him. Oh, here he is. I got him. My bad, y'all. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this up. All right, so this is Cam Rice, and we talked about him. He is a tackle, okay, and he came in on a visit last week. It might have been over the weekend. Yeah, I think he left on Friday. So he came up last Thursday, left on Friday. I haven't heard a whole lot about it, really. It sounded like it went well, but he hasn't necessarily pulled the trigger just yet. you can see that his numbers aren't going to look great, right? So that's just how it is with tackles. Their numbers are not going to look great. But what I love about him is he's got a lot of pop. He's got a whole lot of burst and pop. So we'll pull up his film here so that you can see exactly how that looks. But I think that he's a guy that could play the 3 technique. He could play really any technique as far as the tackle goes. And I'll tell you, I think that he might be able to play a little bit of strong side in too in certain situations. And not to go too far off on this, but just for all my ball fans, I want y'all to understand that Ethan Utley, he's a player that I watched in that orange and white game. I was very impressed with him. He did a whole lot of good things. We didn't get the opportunity to, single him out. But he's another one that I think could play some strong side in for you too. We know that he needs to gain some more weight to play tackle. But either way, this is a guy that I feel like he has good size. Hopefully we can close out on him. But you're seeing it here. Boom. Like, look at that twitch. Like, look at this is a guy, he's 6'3", I think 290 pounds. Now, he looks a lot like Bryson Easton to me. Like we said, that Bryson Easton is 6'3", about 316, close to 320. So he's a smaller version of him. But as far as the twitch and things like that, I think that that's beautiful because right now what Tennessee has are some, I don't want to say smaller because our tackles are actually, probably bigger than most teams in different conferences, right? So Tennessee's line last season, it was huge. We had one of the biggest lines in the entire country. But, it's not going to be as big. But what I have noticed is with those stunts and things like that, these guys, man, looking at Moy, looking at Bryson Easton, again, just from that orange and white game, the way that they work together off of those stunts with the power, with the speed, they can wreak havoc. These are guys that are pass rushing tackles that are also physical enough to stop the run. So this is a guy that is inside of the portal. And hopefully, like I said, Tennessee can land him. But I wouldn't stop it there. And I'm not sure if, if things haven't really come out that he wants to come to Tennessee just yet, because maybe we are waiting to see who else enters and we're only going to take one. But like I said, I would take 2. He would definitely be one for sure for me. All right, so we're going to go on to the next player right here. I want to go to wide receiver, okay? We're going to go to wide receiver before we get into – and also, if y'all can't see this stuff, please let me know. All right, please let me know. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and jump in here, and we're going to try to get to some wide receivers because I think that there are a couple of names that's already inside of the portal that I like. I think that they will work well with Tennessee. And we're going to start off right here with Trevor Pena, who played at Syracuse. All right, you can see he's listed at 6 feet tall, 184 pounds. Look at his numbers. Those numbers look really good to me. He's a guy that I feel like, obviously, he'd probably be like a one-and-done guy. I would say, he could probably play slot or outside. We talked about this before, too, that Tennessee's starting to go out and target players that are kind of like tweeners. They can play inside or outside. Excuse me, but I think he's definitely more of an outside, or I'm sorry, more of an inside wide receiver. So how would that impact guys like Braylon Staley, guys like Jefferson? I really feel like Tennessee needs more, true outside guys, like some taller guys that are just straight up outside. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up his clips for you so that y'all can see some of the things that I like about him personally. So, he has really, really good speed. I think he's tough. He makes tough catches, and he can make things happen after the catch. That's more of what I feel like Tennessee really needs, especially if you're looking at it like we just talked about. We're not quite sure who the quarterback's going to be, but I'm looking at it like, okay, it's either going to be Merck or it's going to be what's the other quarterback, the freshman, right? So it's going to be one of those two guys, and whoever we add is just gravy. But how would the offense look? What do we need to add? What do we need to get more of for the team to find the success that I want, which is making it to the playoffs and having a chance to make it to a national championship? Now, I completely and totally get it that is, that's asking a lot, and we don't know exactly how the roster is going to look at this point. But one of the things that I feel like Tennessee would need is some playmakers. You need guys on the outside, as many as you could possibly find, that can make something happen after the catch. If we are throwing drags and, this underneath stuff, what are they going to give us on top of what's already there? That is going to be something that's big that Tennessee needs to be looking out for. And right here, man, let me go ahead and get to this. We got a super chat. Thank you so much for this super chat. This is from Jacob Wise for $20. Thank you. Asking what I want. Mika Hudson from Texas Tech. I'm gonna tell you. Well, actually, hold on. Let me play the clip for you, and then I'll let you know. Let me find that for you real quick. See where we at in here. All right, hold on one second. All right, so Jacob, I would say 100%. He's a player that I talked about before. Now, the thing about him is that he transferred from Texas Tech to Texas A&M. Technically, he would be transferring, from the SEC. Now, I don't know how those rules work. Do you have to actually go to classes? Do you have to actually play any games? Because if that's the case, that you don't, what I'm saying, like if he would technically, like, let's just say from a transfer from the transfer portal, if they would view that as, hey, he's actually transferring from Texas Tech, I would most definitely take him. And if you like him enough, okay, if you like him enough, then maybe you try to push that issue. Maybe you say, hey, we're gonna challenge challenge whoever it is. I don't even know who's even over the stuff now, but we're gonna challenge him and see. I guess you'd have to probably take the take the NCAA to court, challenge him and say, hey, listen, he never played there, so it doesn't really count. And yeah, he would be absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. 5-star guy coming out of high school. He's everything that we want. Inside, outside guy, 100%. So we will see. That's actually something else that I was thinking about with Nico. Could there be a situation where maybe he goes and transfers to a school real quick, even if it's a lower level school, just so he can transfer to an SEC school? I'm not saying that would happen, but it is something that that thought definitely crossed my mind personally. And I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna pull this back up for you. Hold on one second, if I can find it. Okay, hold on. We're gonna come back to this. All right, there we go. Boom. All right. So, and actually, it does sound like Nico. I was listening to Nako's on something earlier today. I think on the On3 YouTube channel. Sounds like Nico could potentially be going to Syracuse. That would be I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want to see him game one. You know what I mean? So hopefully that doesn't happen, man. Like we don't want to see. I don't think that we want them. I don't think that we want to face them. At least I don't personally. All right. So I'm gonna get on to the next one. Okay. We're gonna get on to the next player. Bear with me. I'm having to do a whole lot of ones and twos to get this thing going, man. But we are going to get through it. So there are obviously several more plays that I want to talk about. But the next one, this is another wide receiver. And we just asked about, Jacob just asked me about Hudson. This is another one that's kind of like, they said that there's been some off the field issues. He is in the portal. This is Jonte Cook, 5-star coming out of high school. I'm not saying that Tennessee is going to do it, but I had to bring it up. He didn't do a whole lot when he was at Texas. Then he transfers to Washington. So he would be eligible to transfer to the SEC. Again, if what we said is true, I guess, or yeah, if what we said is true, where if you transfer to a school and you don't actually play there, then it doesn't count. Then we couldn't do it. But man, I love he's another one. I think he's a lot more of a slot player, but he's still probably like a little bit of an inside outside guy. We're going to pull this up for you. But man, you want to talk about a guy that's got some jets. He can definitely make it happen after the catch. This will be huge to add, either one of these players to Tennessee's room. If we could add both, that would just be, I think, absolutely ridiculous. That would be a home run, in my opinion. Now, you have to vet them. You have to see what the heck's the off the field stuff. I've read some, I don't know how true any of the stuff is, but I've seen some rumors out there. So I don't want to speculate. I don't want to tarnish people's names, something that I'm personally big on. If I don't know it to be a fact, I try not to say it. But we do know for a fact that he is inside of the transfer portal, and I think that he could add a lot. He's a guy that could do some things very similar to, like we said, with Braylon Staley, with Jefferson, also with Boo, where you use him as kind of like a gadget piece. Now we've got 3 or 4, 5 guys that we could use in very similar ways. Bringing Boo from defense to offense, it's not an easy key now, right? Like, because we've got so many players that are just flat out ballers. So if the staff looks into it, which I don't even think that they would, I don't know if they would really want to touch them, but if they do, if they look at it and they say, man, this is going to be worth it, that would be huge. I would be feeling really, really good about Tennessee's chances just moving forward, because like I said, you got to have playmakers. You 100% have to have them. All right. So I'm going to move on now. We're going to talk about these quarterbacks here. I'm going to let y'all finish up watching that. But I do want to talk about some of these quarterbacks that we've seen mentioned inside of the portal. And we might spend a little bit more time on these guys, right? Just because this is huge. So the first one that I want to talk about is going to be right here, okay? This is Byram Brown, right? So Byram Brown at South Florida, like we said, Alex Golesh is there. They run the same system as Tennessee does. Byram is not inside of the transfer portal. All right, so the guys that we'll be looking at moving forward, I don't think any of them, at least up to this point, have not entered into the portal. Now, there has been some smoke. I don't know how true this stuff is, but there was a picture. Some of y'all probably saw it. It was on Twitter. That's where I saw that with Tennessee's jet. They said that's the football jet. It was down in Tampa yesterday. Okay, what does that mean? Well, there's a guy that claims to be the pilot that took a picture of that jet and cars and all that, the limos there, and he said that Tennessee filled a roster spot. Doesn't mean that it's Byron Brown, but again, South Florida, that is in Tampa. So this is a possibility. We're going to go ahead and jump into his film. There's several things that I like about him. Number one, obviously, is going to be that he knows this system well. So the learning curve is minimized significantly. Okay, significantly. And actually, I'm going to start this thing all the way back over. So he's what, 6'3", about 220, 225. He would be the biggest quarterback that we've looked at so far, just as far as the people that we would like to go target inside of the portal. And Coach Heupel likes big quarterbacks, but look at his arm. He's definitely got the arm. See, this is the difference, and you probably won't really be able to tell unless you watch the previous videos. With the way that he throws the football compared to these other guys, the ball flies out of his hand. He's throwing at 50, 60 yards, falling away, fading away. That's the type of arm talent that you need to run Tennessee's system. And it's not easy to find somebody like that, but he's also a big physical runner. He can run through people. He can make you miss. And that's something else that Tennessee definitely needs. Some of the other quarterbacks, they're like Hoover. He's not a huge running threat. In Tennessee's offense, if you look at it, all of our quarterbacks have run. I want to say maybe Joe Milton might have run the least. But in 2021, I think that Hendon Hooker had the most carries on this football team. So for the offense to click, the quarterbacks have to be able to run. This is a guy who I think can get it done. We'll see what happens. Okay, now I'm not saying I threw out a whole lot of different things that said, hey, maybe this is the case. But again, he's not inside of the transfer portal. So if there was a meeting that took place, that would technically be tampering. But at the same time, I see that Kiffin, there's a couple of other schools. They had people coming out of the transfer portal yesterday. So, I mean, if they can do it, I don't know why we couldn't do it, but I know that we're going to try to walk that straight line and do it by the book because we really can't. We can't get set back anymore. So I don't know that is who we're visiting with or anything like that. But I think that this one, actually, I'm starting to feel like this one might make the most sense. He looked really good versus Bama. Like you can see, these are the clips here versus Bama. Okay. And also pay attention to the daggum scheme. Like pay attention to the route combinations and things like that with Coach Golish. As opposed to what Coach Heupel's been doing. You see how there's stuff going from side to side? You know what I'm saying? Like there's a whole lot of movement, right? There's pre-snap movement. I'll try to get some of the pre-snaps in here with the motions and all of that, but they do a lot more of that than what Tennessee did. Like, look at this. Motion there, come back to the other side. I mean, this is how quarterbacks have an opportunity to see what the field really looks like because you're not just, like half-ass doing stuff. So, I mean, he's the guy that I would feel good about. Now, do I think that he would come in and be a surefire starter? It's possible. But I would say that he's probably going to, he could probably come in and actually, kind of fight. You know what I'm saying? Like he could actually fight for a spot with Merck. You know what I'm saying? I think that he's maybe on that sort of a level. But his ceiling is pretty high. And obviously coming here, he's going to have a whole lot more talent, with him than he does at South Florida. So, if that happens, I think that'd be good for Tennessee, but we don't know. All right. We just don't know what's going to happen. So let's move on to the next quarterback. All right. We're going to pull it up. Let's see. Who should we go to next? I'll tell you who I'll go to. We're going to go to this kid right here because I really like him. Sawyer Robertson. Okay. This is a 6'4", 220-pound guy. We just talked about Bynum, right? Or Bynum. Said that he was the biggest guy. This kid's actually bigger. Look at those numbers. Those are really good looking numbers. Okay. And he can actually run too. He's got a nice skill set. He's an older guy. Like I keep on saying, I'm looking for those older players. I think that's what Tennessee needs because you don't want for the younger guys that have some of them, like Faison hasn't even got up on campus yet. You don't want him leaving. But watch this kid. Watch him go to work. He's got a good, strong arm too. He throws with good touch and all of that. But I think that for me, I'm really leaning more towards the guys that have some wiggle to their running game. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at him here. I mean, he's running through tackles. He's got nice straight line speed. He's played up against Power 4 competition, obviously playing at Baylor. And, that Baylor offense back with Browse, I think that's really where, that's where Coach Heupel's offense kind of comes from, right? Like, that's the ultimate base of it. So I think that they probably still run a very similar type of scheme. So he should understand how to run it. Look at this here. I mean, that was nice, right? Like, he's got a little baller to him. So I would love if Tennessee could maybe add him. But we will see, right? I mean, does he want to come to a program that you know what I'm saying, is losing our starting quarterback. He's going to have to learn this offensive system, which it is going to be new for him. It's not going to be 100% new, I don't think, but it's going to be new enough that do you want to take that chance with 3 months to get ready in what he would want to be a send-off season to the NFL when you're putting up really good numbers already at Baylor, going up against less competition? Like, I mean, you're going to look good there. You come here, I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You are going up against better competition, which could make you look better if you play well, but it could also make you look worse if you don't. So it'll be interesting. I think that it's a really tough spot that Tennessee's in, just because for us to go out and get wide receivers, the quarterback spot's going to have to be figured out. And you know, maybe in some situations you might could say the same thing about quarterbacks. Maybe the quarterbacks will look and say, well, you know, there's some good wide receivers there, but what's going to happen if one or two guys end up getting hurt? I'm not going to have too many options. Maybe they're looking at it that way. So we have to get some things done, I feel like, pretty quickly. And it would be great if we could, I'd probably want to start off with that quarterback. If we could get a big splash name, that could take care of everything else that Tennessee's targeting inside of the portal. So I'm going to get on to this next one. And also, let me know what y'all think about these quarterbacks as we're going. And let me check inside these chats and make sure that y'all can see what's up here, because I know that I've had some technical difficulties for the past few streams. Let me see. Who is the next one? I'll tell you who I'll go to here. Next is going to be, if I can find him in here. Hold on, y'all, because something, this thing is switching up on me. Okay, so actually I can't even see the next quarterback's profile in here that I was looking for. So that is unfortunate. But we will just go ahead and play their clips because I can't find his profile in here. So the next quarterback that I want to talk about is Rocco Beck. Okay, this is the guy that we talked about him some yesterday, but I really, really like him. I think that he's got a really nice skill set. He's a daggum baller. Okay, daggum baller. He's got a strong arm now, and it's just about, do you have the arm and do you got that? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you got some of that dog to you? Are you willing to make plays? Like, see here, you see him scrambling outside of the pocket. You know what I mean? I think he's got a pretty nice frame. He's only about 6'1", but he's about 210 pounds. So we should be solid enough. I think that he could hold up in the SEC. Now, is he just like an absolute like phenom running the football? No, but I think that it's enough that with those read options, with some of the different plays that Tennessee's liking to run, I think that it would keep the defense honest. You have to respect his legs. So that's more of what I'm talking about. But yeah, very, very accurate guy. You know, throws with a whole lot of touch, and I would like to see this one happen. Now, I think he's playing at Iowa State now. Again, none of these guys have entered the portal as far as I know. Will they enter in? And these are names for us to watch out for, because there's been some smoke with it. There's been smoke with the fans, really. We don't know what the actual coaching staff and all that. We don't know what they're actually looking at. But I think it's either him. I think that he might be from the Tampa area. It's him or it's one of the other quarterbacks. It might be him. So that could also be part of the reason that Tennessee was down in Tampa. I don't know that to be true. I'm just saying maybe, possibly. All right, let me see. Oh, wait a second. Sawyer has entered the portal. Wow, wow, wow. Is this true? Wait a second. Please don't play with me, dog. Is that true, man? Somebody let me know if that's true, because that would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy if he is inside the portal, because that could maybe be Tennessee's guy. I love his film. He's a really good one, but I also like Rocco. So that's the good thing, is that we've got several different options. Okay, I'm gonna go on to the next quarterback that I really like. Well, that really I think that the fans might really like a little bit more than I do, but this is Luke Altmaier. Okay, a lot of folks have been talking about. I think that he's got the arm strength. I think that he's got that arm talent, but is he a guy that is a real threat with his legs? I don't know. I think that he's probably like a step behind the other quarterbacks, just for me personally. I mean, see that, like, he can run, but there's not a lot of wiggle there. I don't see a whole lot of savviness. And then also, it sounds like he's really close with his team. You know, I think that I heard somewhere that, you know, him and his offensive line are going out to dinner once a week. So things like that. This is an older guy, send-off season. Had a really nice season last year. So we'll see. Would he want to entertain it if what y'all just said about Sawyer is true? If y'all just said about what Sawyer is true, I'm starting to get a little bit excited about that one, because I think he would be perfect for this system. That's huge. Can somebody confirm if that's true? Can someone please confirm if that's true? Um, Actually, in just a minute, I'm gonna have to look at that myself. You know what? Maybe we can go ahead and do that right now. Maybe we can just go on ahead and we can start looking at all the quarterbacks inside the portal. I don't see them in here. I think someone made that up. I mean, I'm not trying to call you a liar or nothing, but I don't see him in here. So we're not in, unless this is just out of date. Okay, so I'm not seeing Sawyer in the portal unless I'm overlooking him. But either way, love this guy here. You know what I'm saying? I think that Luke could do some good things for Tennessee. But this is the guy right here now. This is the guy that everyone's been raving about. I don't think he's leaving Kansas State, but daggum Avery Johnson. I mean, baller, baller, baller. This is what I love. I love the guys that can ball. I've said that 500 times, but I mean it. You need the guys who can make things happen. He can most definitely do it. But he's from that area. You know what I'm saying? So I just he's probably grew up lifelong fan. He's probably not going to leave unless Tennessee came with just a crazy number, and then maybe he might consider it. But the same thing here, we said about all these quarterbacks, that this is a send-off season potentially for these guys. It's going to be tough to entice these players to come to Tennessee. Just because having to learn a whole new offensive system and scheme, and not just that, but having to learn, just a whole new layout of life. Period. You know what I'm saying? Like they have their frequent spots that they like to go hang out at, or that they like to go eat at. People who know them there, which of course Knoxville is going to be very warm to them. So it won't take them long, I don't think, to get acclimated to that part of it. But I mean, think about it. There is a lot that comes with all this stuff. They have to just get up and leave, and you got 3 months. I mean, almost 3 months. Like for the rest of your life to get this stuff figured out. So we will see. And I would be really happy if the Sawyer thing has some truth to it, or really any of these guys. But I think that it is going to be a little bit of a struggle to get some guys that are starting caliber. It might be more realistic for Tennessee to try to go down to a lower level and bring up a player and say, hey, you can fight for some playing time here. You can maybe earn this starting job. We might have a little bit of an easier time doing that. And obviously they're going to get paid more at Tennessee. So we'll see. But yeah, Avery Johnson, he was high up on my personal board. Actually, you know what? Caden Salters, who I had it at number one. And do I have him in here? I don't know if I have Caden in here, but Caden Salter was actually number one for me. I just don't think, sounds like Tennessee might have pushed him out the door, so I don't think that he would come back here. So we'll see there. But next, we could talk about Kevin Jennings. Again, none of these guys are inside of the portal to my knowledge. Okay, but Kevin Jennings at SMU, he's a small guy, 6 feet, about 190 pounds. That's really small for his game because he does like to run. Okay, but he's very, very accurate. Now he's got some wiggle to him. Okay, he definitely has some wiggle to him. But I think that his arm is pretty strong too. He can throw from different platforms and things like that, which is always big for me. So I would like him. I'll be fine with that one for sure. Let me see. He could have entered at 12:01. I'm trying to see if anyone can confirm. If anyone can confirm that that any of these players have jumped inside of the portal, because I go by On Three. On Three does a pretty good job, whenever the portal actually opens up of updating it. But at the same time, it probably takes them like an hour or two to get updated. So if y'all can really confirm that Sawyer's inside of the portal, that's huge. All right. Let me see. Not sure if this is true. This is what I found. Okay, so this one right here. This is from GeForce, and not sure if this is true. This is what I found. Sawyer Robinson officially entered the portal on April 15, 2025. Wait a second. So has he been inside the portal this whole time, and I just didn't know it? I didn't think that he was in the portal. Okay, well, shoot. If that's the case, yeah, I most definitely feel really good about it, and maybe that's why I couldn't find him. Is just because he's down on one of these previous dates. I'm gonna try to scroll through here real quick. So I still don't see him. Okay. Yeah, I'm still not seeing Sawyer in there. So I don't know. That's something we'll have to probably circle back to. But either way, man, this right here, I think that we've got plenty of possible options if we go out to the portal and try to target some of these guys. The next guy's going to be Jalen Daniels from Kansas. Now, I like his game too. He's an older guy. I think it's like his 5th or 6th season, something like that. He's 6 feet, 220 pounds. So he's a bigger guy. He can run. He's going to be a little bit tougher to tackle just because of his size. But I would say more so tough to tackle for like secondary players like corners, but they should still be able to tackle him. I mean, it's not going to be it's not going to be some like huge deal. His accuracy wasn't the best. He was, I think, like 58% last season. So it wasn't the absolute best, but he's a guy that should be able to come in and look at this more like a pro. Obviously, being older, right? You get older, you should be getting wiser. So maybe he could come in and kind of like be that leader, which again is something that Tennessee should be looking for. You need someone that could be a leader, but would he be, I wouldn't necessarily say that he would be like some home run pickup. I think that a lot of the things that he can do physically, you could look at Merck and say Merck could really probably do some of the same stuff. But again, with Merck, you have to wonder how is he going to handle, like we said, going down to the swamp. How is he going to handle that? Like when people are just ragging on him all game long. You got to be able to, what I'm saying, mentally fight past that. Not saying that he's not mentally strong. I think that he is, but that would be my biggest concern as to why I would say, okay, maybe you take a Jalen Daniels over Merck, because I think that he can handle that better. I think that just because he's older, maybe he can handle it better. I don't know him personally, obviously, to know how he's set up like that, but he has at least played. He's played in some similar situations. It's nothing like the SEC. It's never going to be anything like that where it's hostile every single week. It's not. You don't get a break, and it only gets worse and worse and worse if you are playing up against a rival. So, that's pretty much where I'm at with it, man. I think that Tennessee. Obviously we've got to find a daggum quarterback. I like pretty much all these options. I told y'all who I felt like would be the absolute best options for Tennessee, but we're gonna have to start doing something pretty quickly. I'll say it that way. If Tennessee wants to get something done, they better go ahead and get that ball rolling. If they haven't already, like I said, I do kind of feel like, I kind of feel like maybe we have already been doing some tampering, if you kind of read between the lines with some of the things that people are saying, which of course, nobody that's close to the program is ever going to come out and say, oh yeah, we met with this person and met with that person yesterday when the portal wasn't even open. Nobody's going to do that because that would be tampering, right? Like you're not going to get your own team in trouble. But I kind of read between the lines there, and it feels like Tennessee has pretty much been doing that. And there's nothing wrong with it, honestly. I mean, because if everyone else is doing it, then this is an even playing field. I'm cool with that. As a matter of fact, I would be more upset if Tennessee wasn't doing that. Like, we better have been doing some tampering. All right, so I'm gonna pull up. I think I got some more things in here that I did want to pull up, and I'm gonna get to that for y'all. And then I'm gonna get to some chats. All right, I'm gonna get to some chats. So we'll go with this right here. We're gonna pull up the orange and white game. How about that? How about we pull that up as we're going through these chats so that y'all can check that out. All right, so. Man, there's a lot of them in here. I have no idea what the conversations have been like. Okay. We haven't talked to Brown. Okay, so this one right here. Thank you for bringing this up to us, Chris. And the Sawyer is not in the portal as of the last top. Okay, so as of the last top of the hour updates, but that doesn't mean Tennessee isn't talking to him. But the latest update, he isn't showing being in right now. Okay, thank you for that. I was making sure that I wasn't tripping because I was starting to wonder. Was I missing something? Was there something that I should have seen? This one right here, this is from Briston Hatfield's going on, saying that 24/7 says Nico's going to North Carolina. So, yeah, I saw that too. But it does sound like North Carolina maybe backed out of that. I don't know what – I think that there's so much stuff that gets floated out right now. There's so many rumors that you just don't really know what's true. We kind of have to like let things play out. But it does sound like North Carolina is going to get a guy. I think his name is like Chambliss. I looked at him. I think he's coming from a D2 program. I think that's who they're going to get, or he might be going somewhere else. But they're getting one of those types of guys. So that is pretty interesting that they would opt to go after a player like that over Nico. Now I think that guy, whoever North Carolina is expected to get, I think he's good. But obviously Nico's skill set is crazy. It's sad because it feels like whoever's been handling this whole situation, whether that's his dad, whether that's his uncle, whoever, all of them, they've really put him in a terrible situation. Tennessee's not in the best situation either, but that's what it does. It makes me sad to see how things are playing out. Let me get to this one. 250 in the chat. Okay. Oh yeah, for sure. So David Speaks saying there's 250 in the channel, only 12 likes. Pump those numbers up on my double. Thank you for that. Yeah, if y'all could definitely give us a like, that would be huge. That definitely helps us out. But you know what? Just kind of like looking at this orange and white game, man. there are so many things to love about the way that the offensive system looks. And as I'm saying it, that's one of those up and down plays. So that play, see how that was just a comeback? That's what Tennessee did pretty much all the time last season. But coming up, we'll probably see some different looking, you know what I'm saying? We'll probably see some different route combinations and things like that. Like at least seeing the run back coming out of the backfield, that's big. That was another one where it's just straight up and down. It's comebacks. You got a running back coming out of the backfield. Quarterback has nowhere to go. That's why you have nowhere to go, because people sit on those types of routes. You can't run that too often. That's just like a every now and then type of a deal. You know what I'm saying? So either way, I was trying to make a point, but now I made it at the wrong time. Okay, so now you can see that we've got some different route combinations here. We're doing some different things. There's some wrinkles to it. It's not 100% vertical. So either way, man, that's pretty much it for me, y'all. I wanted to make sure that people could kind of take a look at some of the top prospects that people have been talking about. You know what I'm saying, so that y'all could see with your own eyes what they look like throwing the football, running the football. Some really, really good options. I'm hoping that I would say that, man, for sure within the next, golly, it's about 3 o'clock. I'm gonna say within like the next 24 hours, we should hear something. We should know something about, at least about a name. Somebody should be entered into the portal. It might happen at some point today, but I feel like for sure, man, by tomorrow we need to have some solid names about this quarterback spot. If not, man, I'm gonna start to get a little bit concerned. So that's it, y'all. Again, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we might be coming back to y'all a little bit later on if we get some more news and updates and things like that. But we'll see y'all then. Thanks. Peace.